Andrew, do you have anything on this on this?
On which on which topic?
Like the feminists, but also traditional thing.
Yeah, well, it's always curious to me. That's why I was kind of drilling in earlier on the idea of rights. So when you're talking about feminism, you should make a notation that most men, also in the United States, couldn't vote. Almost no men could. Suffrage was something which came later. It was not a foundational principle. And I'm trying to figure out why it is that you think women's liberation is so great. Why do you think feminism is awesome?
Because they got us here to where it is, to where we are now.
Men did.
And
yeah, but good for those men.
So then why do women?
Feminism.
Why do so many women
complain
today about not having equal rights to men?
I'm not complaining.
I know that you're not complaining, but
yeah.
We're not saying that we're complaining. We're saying that we are in support.
Have that conversation with a different type of feminist.
Yeah, you guys are looking for the blue hair feminists. That's not what they are. So
that's not what we are.
No, I think it's the same type of egalitarian principle. So I think the first and second wave led to the third and fourth wave, and that the principles are in essence the same. So I don't think that there's this massive distinction between fourth and third wave feminism to first and second. I don't think that it's just about voting. I think it's about a move towards these kinds of egalitarian principles, which I largely reject.
I think most of the feminists that I know are more of like, I don't see myself as equal to a man. I know obviously he's stronger than me and there's a lot of differences between us biologically. It's more of so that women wanted the option, if they wanted to have their own education or be by themselves or go 50-50, that's the whole point, is it just to have that option. Because before you had no choice but to get married and have kids with a man, and then if it went south, there was no escape for women. That's what most women are when they think about feminism.
There still is an escape for women. Like this is the bad part.
No, now she could be by herself and get divorced and start her own.
That's true. This is the bad part of feminist propaganda.
And I've said this so many times when I've been on this podcast, when they ask me like, what does a feminist mean to you? It means doing whatever the fuck you want to do without society.
That sounds right.
Without society, without society being like, okay, well, you're not a traditional woman. You're a crazy cat lady. No, fuck that. Like, I don't want anybody to have that fucking shit.
Right, you want to just be able to do whatever the fuck you want.
Yes,
right?
Period. Thank you, Andrew. You finally listened.
There
are consequences to your actions, though. There are consequences to your actions.
The only person that suffers those consequences is the person that does the action.
Exactly. Exactly. My consequences.
What is my consequence for like defining myself as a feminist?
Well, it's not just the feminist label. It's having, how do I say this? If you are about like the sexual liberation thing and having multiple, like all these partners, there are consequences to that.
It leads towards, she actually is making a good point here. This leads towards societal decay.
It's not my business what other people do with their body. Society. If they want, not me personally, I wouldn't be sleeping around, but if another person wants to be sleeping around and call it liberation, then to hell with that. They can do whatever the fuck they want to do. I'm nobody to be like, oh, well, you're a whore for fucking wanting to sleep with 10,000 people.
But what's wrong if somebody does call them that? Why is that problematic in your worldview?
Because it's mean. Yes, thank you, Andrew.
So for me, I don't care if they get called a whore, but it's just the fact that they have the right to
solve any issues.
Like, you're a whore? Yes, you're a whore. That's a whore. It is true, but they have the right to do it.
Social shaming and social stigma solves issues?
It's not going to solve anything. It solves nothing.
Andrew, what do you gain? Tons of
what do you gain?
What are you talking about?
Let me ask you, what do you gain from coming on here and calling me a skank? Do you gain anything? Do you get a little pat on the back? Do you get a cookie?
Part of the way. So what happens is, what you have to do, unfortunately, in the modern society that you're dealing with, where there's tons of decay, is when somebody hits you, you have to hit them back harder. That's the way it generally seems to work, unfortunately. Now, if you had behaved yourself, been a good girl, I wouldn't have had.
Don't call me that. Do not call me that.
But instead, you had to mouth off and be a bitch, so I just kind of talked to you like I talked to you, right? That's how it works.
Let me ask you.
Let's not insult. Guys, let's not insult people.
Not insult people. He got up here and called.
No, that's what I'm saying.
He called moms against drunk driving dumb broads.
Wait, what?
Yeah. He
They were
moms against drunk
they
driving
were
dumb
being dumb broads when they did that.
Sir,
right?
I'm gonna tell you something. Okay?
Grieving mothers.
You're coming from a place of great insecurity.